Okay, so for this video we're going to talk about a technique called dimensional analysis. What it is basically just a method you can use to convert between units. It's something that's extremely important to know in science, but also just generally in the world when you're talking about different units. Different countries use different units, so it's important for money or cooking or a bunch of different things. So let's look at an example here. Let's say you've got 6 feet and you want to know how many inches that is. 6 feet to inches. So what we're going to do, I'm going to give you a step-by-step process here to use. So the first step is figure out what you're starting with. In this case, our beginning unit is feet. So we're starting with feet. The second step is what are you trying to find? In this case, what we're trying to find is inches. The third step is use something called a conversion factor to get there. So a conversion factor would be something like there are 12 inches in 1 foot. That's a conversion factor. It's two things that are equal to each other. 12 inches equals 1 foot. It's two things that are the same. They're both measuring a length, it's just a different unit that we're using. So let's put this into action. So let's go through the process here. The first step is write what we have, which was 6 feet. Second step is write down what we need, which is inches. The third step is use the conversion factor. Now what we're going to do, we're going to multiply by the conversion factor. Okay? Now our conversion factor was 12 inches equals 1 foot. We're going to write feet on the bottom, just like this, and we're going to write inches on the top. Alright? I'm just going to put this 6 feet over 1 just so it looks like a fraction. Easier to work with that way. So now that we've set up our conversion factor here, all we have to do is write in the numbers. There are 12 inches in 1 foot. Now if we were to multiply this, the units of feet would cancel out, since it's on the top and the bottom of a fraction. On the top, now we just have inches left, which is the unit that we wanted, so we're good there. Now all we have to do is go ahead and multiply. So when you do something like this, you multiply the top together, you multiply both of these together, and you're going to get 6 times 12 is 72 inches. You keep your unit there. On the bottom, you multiply 1 times 1 together. Now our unit of feet is canceled out, so there's no unit. So it's really just 72 over 1, which is 72 inches. Okay, so that's something that probably a lot of you watching this video can do in your head. 6 feet, you know there's 12 inches in a foot, so that's 72 inches. Well, when you do that in your head, you're actually doing dimensional analysis, believe it or not. So let's try one that's a little bit more difficult. So now we want to know how many seconds are in 5 days. So we're going to start out by writing our beginning unit, or what we're starting with, which is 5 days. So we'll say 5 days. And again, I'll put it over 1 just so it looks like a fraction. And at the end, we're going to write our final unit, which is seconds. Notice I'm more concerned with the units than anything else. So our final unit is seconds. So what we're going to do now is basically plot out a course to get from days to seconds. They're both measures of time, so we can get there. Now, you probably don't know off the top of your head how many seconds are in a day, which is fine. But you do know how many hours are in a day, so we're going to go there first. Alright, we'll put days on the bottom, hours on top, and we know that there are 24 hours in 1 day. That would be our conversion factor. So days will cancel, and if we were to solve it here, we would know how many hours there are, because hours is the only unit left. But we want to know seconds, so we're not there yet. So the next step would be to say that, well, we know that there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. Alright, so we know how many minutes are in 5 days if we were to solve it right now. But again, we wanted seconds. So we have one more step. I'm just going to leave that seconds there because that's right where we want it. Now, we know that there are 60 seconds in a minute. So we can cancel out minutes there. And now we've got seconds as our only unit left, like we wanted. So we can multiply the entire top together, because that's what you do when you multiply fractions. So this is something you'll probably need a calculator for. If you're in my class watching this, then I've told you a million times by now that you need a calculator. So 5 times 24 times 60 times 60, the entire top, you multiply that, and you're going to get 432,000 seconds on the top. You multiply the bottom, 1 times 1 times 1 times 1, no units, so you just get a 1. Your answer is 432,000 seconds are in 5 days. So we really didn't do anything different than we did on the first problem. The only difference was it was a few more steps instead of just one step, but the process is the same. We start out with what we're given, we plot out what we want to end up with, and then we just set up conversion factors with how to get there. Let's try another one. Okay, so for this question, it's asking us if a car is going 60 miles an hour, how many feet per second is it traveling? Alright, so this one's a little bit different because instead of our beginning unit just being miles or feet or yards or something like that, it's miles per hour, which means miles per hour. Per is basically just mean divided by. So 60 miles per hour is our beginning unit. Our final unit is going to be feet per second. So basically, we're going to get from here to here. That's the goal. Alright? So we're going to multiply by a conversion factor. Right? It's basically a two-step process. Since miles is a unit of length or distance, and feet is a unit of length or distance, we can just convert miles to feet and not worry about the time. Then after we do that, we know that hours is a time and second is a time, so we'll convert those. Alright, so first, we will just convert miles to feet. Now, in my class, if you were to have this problem on a test or something, I would go ahead and tell you that 1 mile is 5,280 feet. You'd be given that conversion factor. So that's what you'd use. 1 mile is 5,280 feet. So that cancels out miles. And if we were to solve now, we would know feet per hour. So we're part of the way there. So the next step would be to convert hours to seconds. So you may know how many hours or how many seconds are an hour, but if you don't, you do know how many minutes are in an hour. So we know that in 1 hour there are 60 minutes. Bam, bam, cancel out the hours. So this would tell us feet per minute. Let's mark that out. Alright. And the next conversion factor could be between minutes and seconds. We know that in 1 minute there's 60 seconds. So where we are right now, the unit we have left on top is feet. Everything else is gone. The unit we have left on the bottom is seconds. So that means the unit we have at this point is feet per second, which is exactly what we wanted. That's what it asks us right up here. Alright, so the next step is to multiply 60 times 5,280 times 1 times 1. If you multiply those two numbers, you get 316,800 feet. And on the bottom, we multiply 1 times 1 times 60 times 60. If you were to do that, you would get 3,600 seconds. So now we divide those two numbers, and we will get 88 feet per second. That would be your answer. So, again, we're not doing any kind of a new process here. All we did is start with what they gave us, which was 60 miles per hour, and that's the first thing I wrote over on the left. Again, you always start with what they give you. Never try to start with a conversion factor. So we started with 60 miles an hour. Then we multiplied by conversion factors, one after another, until we ended up with the unit that we wanted, which was feet per second, right here. Alright, we're going to move on to one that might be a little bit trickier, only because it's got more abstract units. So, in this case, Mr. Hammond can eat 17 hot dogs in 1 hour, and each hot dog has 2 spoonfuls of chili. How much chili will I be eating if I eat at this pace for 2 hours? So what I want you to do, rather than me solve this one for you, I want you to give it a try. So go ahead and pause this video right now, and after you've given it a shot, I want you to go back, click play again, and watch the solution. So pause it now. If you don't pause it now, you'll see the answer. Alright, so Mr. Hammond can eat 17 hot dogs per hour. That would be our starting point. 17 hot dogs, I'm just going to say HD, per 1 hour. So that's our beginning unit. That's what we're going to start with. And there may be more than one place you can start in this one, since you're given a lot. But we're going to start there. Our final answer, it looks like how much chili is what this question is asking. So our final unit should be in chili, or probably spoonfuls of chili. Okay, so we're just going to say spoonfuls of chili. That's SC. Alright, so 17 hot dogs per hour, we're going to convert that to spoonfuls of chili. So, our first step, it looks like, well, we know how much chili is on a hot dog. It says there's 2 spoonfuls of chili on 1 hot dog. So that could be a conversion factor. 1 hot dog, 2 spoonfuls of chili. Alright, so if I were to solve it now, I would know how many spoonfuls of chili we could be eating, or Mr. Hammond is eating, in 1 hour. But we want to know 2 hours. So 2 hours, we'll put that up here. And I'll just put a 1 down here. Put that up here. So our unit left on the top is spoonfuls of chili, which is what we wanted. We got nothing left on the bottom, which is perfect. So it looks like we could just do the math. So 17 times 2 is 34, times 2 again on the top, and we get 68 spoonfuls of chili. On the bottom, 1 times 1 times 1, just get a 1. So the answer, in 2 hours, Mr. Hammond can eat a sickening 68 spoonfuls of chili. That is disgusting, yet delicious sounding at the same time. Alright, so that's it for dimensional analysis right now. That's the basics. You can really apply that technique to any type of unit conversions as long as you have the conversion factor. As long as you know how many of one unit are in another unit, you can convert between those units. It's really useful in a lot of situations. So, hope this video helped. If not, there's a lot more out there. So, good luck.